Have you ever looked at your wallet or checked your bank account and felt like something just isn't adding up? It's a common feeling, a sense that the money you work so hard for doesn't seem to go as far as it once did. You might wonder if the system is flawed, or if your dollar is somehow broken. The truth is, your dollar isn't broken. A dollar is still a dollar. But its power, its ability to purchase goods and services, has diminished. It is undeniably buying you less than it used to. This simple, sometimes frustrating reality is at the heart of what economists call inflation. It's a term you hear on the news, but its impact is deeply personal. Inflation is a quiet force that works in the background of our daily lives, subtly reshaping our financial landscape. It doesn't announce its arrival. Instead, it reveals itself gradually, showing up in the price of a gallon of milk, showing up in the cost of filling up your car, and showing up in the rent check you write each month. Put simply, inflation is the steady rise in the general price of things we buy over time. It's not just one item becoming more expensive, but a broad increase across the entire economy. This means that the money you hold in your hand today will not stretch as far tomorrow. The $100 in your savings account will command fewer goods and services next year than it does right now. It is a slow, often invisible, erosion of your purchasing power. Think of it like a leaky bucket. Even if you keep adding water, the slow drip at the bottom means you're constantly losing some of what you have. Demystifying this concept is the essential first step toward managing its impact on your financial well-being. Many people feel the effects of inflation directly, even if the term itself sounds like something reserved for economists and financial news anchors. It's a universal economic experience. It is the feeling of your grocery bill climbing higher each week, even when you're buying the same items. That familiar basket of goods suddenly carries a heavier price tag, forcing you to make difficult choices. It is the surprise at the pump when the cost to fill your tank is $10 or even $20 more than you remember from just a few months ago. Today, on January 26, 2026, these experiences are common for millions. This isn't just a headline, it's the lived reality for families and individuals trying to navigate their budgets and plan for the future. Understanding this force is more critical than ever. There are three primary forces that act like engines pushing inflation forward. The first is demand-pull inflation, when demand outstrips supply. Imagine a sold-out concert with limited tickets. Sellers can raise prices because eager fans will pay more. In the wider economy, this happens when people have more money to spend. Government stimulus checks, wage increases, easy access to loans. Everyone wants to buy more. Cars, homes, electronics. Factories and businesses cannot keep up. That surge in demand pulls prices higher. The second engine is cost-push inflation, rising production costs. If the price of a critical raw material goes up, like oil, or like steel, higher input costs push final prices up. A farmer might face higher costs. Starting with fertilizer and fuel for their tractor. If workers demand and receive higher wages, businesses often pass that increased labor cost to the consumer. Rising costs in one area ripple across the economy. The third engine is expansion of the money supply. This happens when a central bank creates more money. Now that we understand the core engines of inflation, let's explore the specific drivers that can set them in motion. Think of the entire economy as a giant marketplace, bustling with a finite amount of goods and services. Everything from cars and houses to haircuts and coffee has a place here. The money circulating in this marketplace is the tool we use to purchase these things. But what happens if the amount of money suddenly increases, while the number of goods stays the same? This is a classic driver of inflation. When money grows faster than the economy's productive capacity, each dollar becomes less valuable. More money is now chasing the same number of items. It's like adding too much water to a pot of soup. The flavor gets diluted. In the economy, the flavor is the purchasing power of your money. This increase in the money supply isn't accidental. Often, it's the result of deliberate policy choices. Governments might inject money into the economy to stimulate growth during a downturn, or to fund significant public spending on infrastructure or social programs. While well-intentioned, if not managed carefully, these actions can lead to sustained price increases across the board. Beyond these policy-driven changes, the economy is also vulnerable to sudden, unexpected events known as shocks. These shocks can disrupt the delicate balance between supply and demand, amplifying inflationary pressures. For instance, a global pandemic can shut down shipping lanes and factories, creating bottlenecks that make it harder and more expensive to get goods to market. A geopolitical conflict can interrupt the flow of oil, causing energy prices to spike. This doesn't just affect the cost of fuel for your car, it increases the cost of producing and transporting nearly everything. Similarly, a severe drought can destroy crops, leading to a sharp rise in food prices. These are cost-push shocks, where the cost of production suddenly jumps, and businesses pass those costs on to consumers. But there's another powerful, more psychological force at play: inflation expectations. This is what we believe will happen to prices in the future. If people widely expect prices to rise, they start to act differently. As a worker, you might demand a higher wage to ensure your income keeps up with the rising cost of living. And as a business owner, you might raise your prices, not just because your own costs are up, but in anticipation of future cost increases and higher consumer demand. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. Higher wage demands lead to higher prices, which in turn lead to demands for even higher wages. In this way, our collective expectations can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, entrenching inflation and making it much harder to control. By breaking down these drivers, from money supply and external shocks to our own expectations, we can move from a place of confusion and anxiety to one of clarity. Understanding these distinct forces that shape our financial world is the first step toward navigating them with confidence and a clear, proactive plan. The abstract concept of inflation, often discussed in news headlines and economic reports, becomes undeniably real and personal when it enters our homes. It's a force that quietly reshapes our financial reality, most clearly seen when you look at your bank statement or walk through the aisles of a supermarket. Suddenly, the numbers on the price tags feel different. For most families, the most immediate and noticeable impact is on their grocery bill. This isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable reality. Staples like eggs, milk, bread, and meat often see significant price increases, driven by higher costs for animal feed, fertilizer, and transportation. What used to be a $100 trip for a week's worth of groceries can quickly become $120 or $130 for the exact same basket of goods. This erosion of purchasing power forces families to make difficult choices, switching to cheaper store brands, cutting back on fresh produce, or skipping certain items altogether. The cumulative effect of these small adjustments strains household budgets, shrinking the amount of money available for savings, entertainment, or paying for other necessities. Another area where inflation hits hard and fast is at the gas pump. The price of gasoline closely tracks global crude oil prices, which can be extremely volatile due to geopolitical events, supply disruptions, and changes in demand. When inflation is high, fuel costs often spike, and filling up the tank becomes a significant weekly expense. For daily commuters, parents driving children to school, and anyone who relies on a vehicle for work, this increase is largely unavoidable. But the impact doesn't stop there. Higher fuel costs raise transportation costs for nearly every product we buy. The truck, the plane, and the ship all run on fuel, and those added expenses are ultimately passed on to you at the checkout. Beyond the immediate costs of food and fuel, housing represents the largest and often most stressful expense for many. In the rental market, as the cost of living rises and demand for housing outpaces supply, landlords often raise rents to cover their own increased costs and to match market rates. This creates an inescapable and significant increase for renters. For those looking to buy, inflation presents a double-edged sword. Home prices themselves may rise, but more critically, the central bank's primary tool to fight inflation is raising interest rates. This makes mortgages much pricier. A seemingly small hike in interest rates can add hundreds of dollars to a monthly mortgage payment, pushing the dream of homeownership out of reach for many aspiring buyers. This same principle applies to other forms of debt. Variable rate debt, like credit card balances and some personal loans, becomes more expensive as interest rates climb, making existing balances harder to pay down and trapping people in cycles of debt. Inflation is not an equal opportunity force. Its impact varies across groups. Low-income households are hit hardest. They spend a larger share on necessities like food, housing, and transportation. When essentials rise, there is little room to adjust, forcing painful trade-offs. Heat, or groceries. Choices no one wants to make. Those on fixed incomes see purchasing power decline as prices rise. Savings buy less and less over time. If savings earn 1% and inflation is 5%, you lose 4% in real value. Fixed-rate borrowers can benefit, payments stay the same while wages and prices rise. In real terms, debt burdens shrink. The same logic applies to governments with large debts. Owners of assets, mine real estate stock, quite stocks, commodities, may see values rise with inflation. This can widen the wealth gap as asset owners gain and wage-reliant savers fall behind. When inflation overheats, governments and central banks step in to act as the economy's guardians. In the United States, the Federal Reserve leads the effort. Its most powerful tool is adjusting interest rates. Higher policy rates make bank borrowing costlier, and those costs pass through to households and businesses. Higher rates for mortgages, car loans, and business loans. The goal: cool demand and ease price pressure. But it is a delicate balance. Raise rates too far or fast, and recession risks rise, with job losses and slower activity. Governments can also help through fiscal policy, spending and taxes. Cutting spending reduces demand and can help lower prices. Raising taxes trims disposable income and cools an overheating economy. But both measures can be unpopular. Ideally, monetary and fiscal policy work in tandem to restore stable prices and sustainable growth. While the big forces are beyond your control, you are not powerless. You can build a personal financial shield. First, protect your savings from erosion. Cash sitting idle loses value. Consider long-term investments with potential to outpace inflation. A diversified mix of stocks, low-cost index funds, or mutual funds. Historically, markets outpace inflation over time. Also consider TIPS, bonds that adjust with the consumer price index. They help preserve purchasing power, acting as a stable anchor. Second, create and stick to a detailed budget. Track every dollar for a month to reveal where to cut. Cut dining out, cancel unused subscriptions, and delay non-urgent buys. Plan meals, list before shopping and hunt for sales and coupons. Third, focus on increasing your income. Learn new skills, earn certifications, or pursue in-demand education. Negotiate, change roles if needed, or start a side hustle. Inflation can feel like a relentless storm, and it creates real hardship, especially for the vulnerable. But economies are cyclical. High inflation does not last forever, and tools exist to bring it down. Policy takes time and involves bumps, but the aim is stability, so families and businesses can plan with confidence. Focus on what you control, budget, invest wisely, and grow your skills and income. With knowledge and action, you can navigate the new economic weather and keep your financial foundation secure.